गुड मॉर्निंग स्टूडेंट्स। आप लोगों की पढ़ाई अच्छी चल रही होगी, आई होप सो। आज चैप्टर 3 के हम रेस्ट ऑफ 5 टॉपिक्स को लेंगे। हम कौन से टॉपिक कर चुके हैं उसमें? ह्यूमन मेल रिप्रोडक्टिव सिस्टम, ह्यूमन फीमेल रिप्रोडक्टिव सिस्टम एंड स्पर्मेटोजेनेसिस, oogenesis, मेंस्ट्रुअल साइकिल, ये 5 टॉपिक्स कवर कर चुके हैं। इस वीडियो 4 में हम रेस्ट ऑफ द 5 टॉपिक्स मीन्स फर्टिलाइजेशन, इम्प्लांटेशन, एम्ब्रियोनिक डेवलपमेंट, पार्टूरिशन और लैक्टेशन, ये 5 बचे हुए टॉपिक कवर करेंगे। फर्टिलाइजेशन मीन्स सिंपल द फ्यूजन ऑफ मेल एंड फीमेल गैमीट्स। अब मेल एंड फीमेल गैमिट के स्ट्रक्चर को एक बार रिकॉल कर लेते हैं, क्योंकि अभी रिसेंटली आपने हो सकता है कल वीडियो सुना हो, आज एक बार उसको रिकॉल कर लेते हैं। स्ट्रक्चर ऑफ ओवम। कैमरे पर फोकस करें। ये ओवम का स्ट्रक्चर है। इसमें 2 सेल नज़र आ रही हैं आपको। ये एक स्मॉल सेल दैट इज फर्स्ट पोलर बॉडी। फर्स्ट पोलर बॉडी रिकॉल कीजिए, मियोसिस फर्स्ट जो प्राइमरी oocyte में होता है, और प्राइमरी oocyte मियोसिस फर्स्ट में अनइक्वल डिवीजन से 2 अनइक्वल सेल बनाती है, दैट इज फर्स्ट पोलर बॉडी। And the larger one, this larger one cell, single cell, haploid cell, it is called the secondary oocyte. So first polar body and second oocyte. Secondary oocyte के स्ट्रक्चर पर फोकस करते हैं, क्योंकि polar body is having no role to play, it get degenerated. And the second polar body have protective layer around it. This is called zona pellucida. And the follicular cells also form an outer layer around it. These are follicular cells, and they form the outer covering called corona radiata. What? Corona radiata. So corona radiata and zona pellucida both are the protective covering around the secondary oocyte. In this stage it is released out from the ovary during ovulation, and the role of zona pellucida is it is acellular layer. It is a jelly like substance, non-cellular we can say, cells are not there, and it has a very important role while entry of sperm. It undergoes some chemical changes by the action of enzymes from these are cortical granules. Inside the secondary oocyte these are cortical granules. Cortical granules they secrete enzyme outside in the zona pellucida when one sperm get entry. These granules are there along the membrane, the oolemma of secondary oocyte, and as the one sperm get enters, they release some enzymes outside, and it bring about changes in the zona pellucida so that it prevent entry of other sperms into the ovum. Inside this is ooplasm or the cytoplasm inside the secondary oocyte, simple. And this is prominent nucleus. It is nucleolus, and these are more than one mitochondria. Mitochondria are important as they provide energy for all these activities, right? So this is structure of mature ovum or the secondary oocyte actually. At this stage it is released. Outer corona radiata, these are follicular cells forming a layer around the zona pellucida. This is zona pellucida. Inside it, it is the secondary oocyte having outside cortical granules, ooplasm, mitochondria and nucleus and nucleolus. It lack centriole. Secondary oocyte में अपना centriole नहीं होता है. Centriole of the male gamete will play its role. Now come to male gamete, it is the sperm. Sperm has 4 different parts. One, this head region, then this is neck, this is middle piece, and rest of the part is the tail. Okay, head region has, this is acrosome. What it is? Acrosome. Acrosome. It has enzymes for diluting the zona pellucida, and entry of the sperm is carried out by this part. This is nucleus or the head, important nuclear region, and this is nucleus inside, nucleoplasm. This is nucleus of the sperm. Haploid set of chromosome is there. In the neck there are two centriole. In the neck region there are 2 centriole present. Centriole, one of the centriole that forms the core, it will actually will divide and form 2 centriole after entry in the ovum, and it will help in cell division or the say division of the zygote. It will carry out. Middle piece, it has large number of mitochondria arranged spirally around the core. And the tail region, mitochondria provide energy for the movement of the sperm, and tail also help in movement. Now come back to the screen now. During intercourse, the semen is released into the vaginal canal, which passes through the cervical region of the uterus and reaches the ampullary isthmic junction of the fallopian tube. Now, ampullary isthmic junction is the fallopian tube or the oviduct has 3 parts: infundibulum, ampulla and isthmus. So, infundibulum is the funnel shaped part which have fimbriae in it, which collect the mature ovum, and ovum get down towards the ampullary isthmic junction, where it come in contact with the large number of sperms, if it happens, and there are the chances of fertilization. The ovum is released at the junction of fertilization to occur. Process of fusion of sperm and ovum is known as fertilization. Now, during fertilization, the sperm induces changes in the zona pellucida. Actually, entry of sperm release the cortical granules outside into the zona pellucida, and the cortical granules have some enzymes. These enzymes bring about change in the chemical structure of zona pellucida, which block the entry of other sperms. So, polyspermy is prevented. It ensures that only one sperm fertilizes the ovum. Okay. The enzymatic secretion of acrosome at the head of the sperm help the sperm to enter the cytoplasm of the ovum. Hydrolytic enzymes of acrosome, they help in dissolving the zona pellucida, and the sperm get entry into the ovum. This causes the completion of meiotic division. As the sperm enters, the secondary oocyte divide by meiosis second and form an ootid large size and a small second polar body. The haploid sperm nucleus fuses with the haploid nucleus of the ovum or the ootid to form a diploid zygote. This is called fertilization or syngamy. Now, zygote is the diploid cell. It will start dividing by mitosis and will form the fetus and later on the human individual. Mitosis starts as the zygote moves down towards the isthmus of the oviduct. At the site of fertilization, it starts moving towards the uterus, and along with it, it also starts dividing. It forms 2 cells, 4 cells, 8 cells, 16 cells, and these daughter cells are now called blastomeres. Each daughter cell of the embryo, now we call it embryo, and each cell of the embryo is called blastomere. 8 to 16 cell embryo is also called morula stage. It is undifferentiated. It continues to divide to form blastula, and blastula develops a cavity inside and which is called blastocyst. The morula further moves down in the uterus and convert into blastula. At this stage, the cells arranged into an outer layer of cells called trophoblast and an inner cell mass called inner cell mass itself, and inner cell mass is developed later into embryo, and the trophoblast will draw nutrition from mother's blood after getting contact in the form of placenta with the endometrium. So, let me see the structure of blastomere or the trophoblast. This is say endometrium layer in the uterus, and this is the blastula stage. Blastula stage, it has inner cell mass. It will develop into embryo and a single layer of cells all around the blastocyst. It is called trophoblast. This trophoblast will establish a contact, say vascular connection with the endometrium layer of uterus, that will be called as placenta by forming chorionic villi, and inner cell mass. These all cells have capability to develop into embryo, and they will soon differentiate into 3 germ layers: ectoderm, mesoderm, endoderm, and will form embryo. So, this is blastocyst. Blastocyst soon get attached to the endometrium, and it get contact or blood vessels and connected with the trophoblast and draw nutrients for development of the embryo, and it draw nutrients and oxygen from mother's blood into the inner cell mass or the embryo, and also release waste materials to the mother's blood, mother's body. So, placenta develops. This endometrium layer or the trophoblast, they get entangled with it and form the placental connection. Endometrium soon covered it, and completely it get embedded into the say endometrium of uterus, and it is called the implantation, and the pregnancy begins. Okay, come back. Now, the trophoblast get attached to the uterine endometrium, I told you. And the process is called implantation. This process is called implantation. This leads to pregnancy. The inner cell mass get differentiated to form embryo, and the trophoblast get attached to the endometrium and form placenta. Now, we move to pregnancy, parturition and lactation. Pregnancy after implantation. Implantation means get attachment of embryo with the endometrium. The trophoblast forms finger-like projections called chorionic villi. Chorionic villi. They get surrounded by uterine tissue and maternal blood vessels, and it get embedded. It is called, say, implantation. The chorionic villi and the uterine tissue, endometrium, gets integrated to form the placenta. Both the tissues get integrated. एक दूसरे में they get embedded by with the help of villi. This connection is called placenta. It helps in supplying the developing embryo with the oxygen and nutrients, and is also involved in the removal of waste from the embryo to say mother's body. Placenta is connected to the embryo by umbilical cord. The extended form of placenta is called umbilical cord. Placenta act as an endocrine gland. Placenta also release 5 hormones. So it is also an endocrine gland. It produces which hormones? Human chorionic gonadotrophins HCG. Remember these 5 hormones, important. They are secreted from placenta. Human placental lactogen HPL, estrogen, progesterone, and relaxin. Relaxin is secreted in later pregnancy, later stage of pregnancy, and it helps in parturition. These hormones support fetal growth and help in maintenance of pregnancy. Hormones like estrogen and progesterone, cortisol, prolactin, these are increased several times in the maternal blood during gestation. Immediately after implantation, the inner cell mass get differentiated into ectoderm, mesoderm and endoderm. These are 3 germ layers. So our body is triploblastic, which give rise to different tissues in the child or the fetus. This ability of inner mass to is due to the presence of multipotent cells called stem cells. So inner cell mass consists of cells which are called stem cells, and they have totipotency ability. Totipotency means they have ability to form any body tissue or any organ. Most of the major organs are formed at the end of 12 weeks, means 3 months. After 3 months of gestation period or the pregnancy, organs start forming. During 5th month, the limbs and body hairs are formed. By the end of 6 months or 24 weeks, the eyelids separate and eyelashes are formed. At the end of 9 months, the fetus is fully formed or developed. Now it comes to parturition. Human pregnancy has the duration of 9 months. It is called gestation period. At the end of this period, vigorous uterine contraction leads to delivery of the fetus, and this delivery of the fetus is called parturition, childbirth. Parturition is a neuroendocrine mechanism which involves nervous system and endocrine system reflexes, and is start by the signals from developed fetus. Signals of the gestation period comes from the fetus, developed fetus, and fetus and the placenta, which produce fetal ejection reflexes. This causes release of oxytocin from pituitary. Which part of pituitary? Recall, pituitary has 3 parts. What 3 parts? Adenohypophysis, neurohypophysis. So neurohypophysis or the posterior pituitary, that release oxytocin, and one more hormone, vasopressin, that has no role to play here, which causes stronger uterine contractions. Relaxin, oxytocin. Oxytocin secreted from posterior pituitary that causes uterine contractions. It leads to the expulsion of the baby along with the placenta through the birth canal. During pregnancy, the mammary glands undergo differentiation, have some changes, and milk is produced during the end of pregnancy. Milk is produced. The milk produced during the first few days of lactation is called as colostrum. What it called? Colostrum. It is very important as it consists of antibodies for the newborn baby to develop resistance or immunity in the baby. So first 6 months the child must be fed on the mother's milk, so that immunity is fully developed in the child during his childhood, because the child does not do not take food from outside, much food from outside, and is exposed to, he or she is exposed to the pathogens. So colostrum protect the body of the child from infections in the early days. This is all about chapter 3, that is human reproduction. Revise this chapter and listen the video again.